This is Dave, and Dave is getting ready to list his bicycle on Facebook Marketplace. And Dave thinks to himself, I can get $50 out of that bike. This is Bob, and after seeing Dave's ad, he calls Dave and says that he's interested in the bicycle, and he's prepared to make a cash offer of $30, to which Dave says, deal. However, on the day of the meet, Bob surprises Dave by handing him new terms, stating that he needs time to test the bicycle before he can buy it, and he asks for a 5-day contract, to which Dave says, I guess that sounds fair. However, instead of testing the bicycle, Bob goes home and makes a new ad on his Facebook Marketplace with Dave's bike, but this time advertising it for $75. This is Tina. Tina sees Bob's new ad and says that she's interested in the bicycle and she's prepared to make an offer of $50, to which Bob says, deal. Therefore, Tina gets the bike for $50, Dave gets his original $30, and Bob gets to keep the change of $20. This is what we call wholesaling, and it's as stupid as it sounds. Now, you're probably asking yourself, who would actually fall for something like this? And you're right. In our oversimplified version, this tactic doesn't work for personal property or low-valued items. But let's change things up a bit. Bob's back, but this time he's no longer on Facebook. Now he's on sites like Zillow, trying to find independent owners who might be in desperate need for a quick sale. He even starts his own website to legitimize himself as an actual real estate investor, promising cash for keys with no hidden fees, no drawbacks whatsoever. This is Linda, and Linda is now a widow after recently losing her husband. She has not been able to focus at all since his passing, and everyday life has become more and more difficult without him. She is no longer able to afford to stay or maintain the home that they have built together and is now in desperate need to sell quickly. Feeling as if she has no other options, Linda places her home for sale on Zillow for $250,000. Seeing Linda's ad, Bob calls her stating that he's a real estate investor, and he makes her a cash offer of $225,000. Financially distressed and still mourning the loss of her husband, Linda takes a deep breath and says, deal. Bob now meets with Linda and hands her a lengthy real estate contract. He explains to her that he needs time to do inspections and to test the market, and that this is all standard practice for any real estate transaction. Bob is well dressed and well spoken, and he seems to know exactly what he's doing. Linda believes him, and she's just so relieved that she's no longer going to have to worry about the home or finances anymore, and she signs everything that he puts in front of her. Unknowingly, she has just locked herself into a 90-day assignment contract. Bob now places Linda's home back on Zillow, but this time for $300,000, a difference of $75,000 in equity. Bob then starts calling and texting every real estate agent in the area. He states that he has a fantastic off-market property that would be perfect for one of our clients, and he's even willing to pay us a commission if we bring them a buyer. My question for you, whose money is he paying a commission with? And if you don't believe me, here are just a few sample messages that we receive on a daily basis. All of a sudden, strangers start showing up to Linda's home. They explain to her that they are there to see the house and potentially buy it, and she's confused because she thought Bob was buying the house. She knew that there would be inspections and tests, but she wasn't prepared for all of this, so she calls Bob. Remember this slide from just a few moments ago? That lengthy real estate contract that Bob had Linda sign had some subjective language in fine print that allowed Bob to test the market. This is critically important because Bob isn't trying to test anything. He's simply trying to find another buyer willing to pay more than he's paying Linda so he can keep the difference. This means that if Bob is successful, the buyers will have overpaid for the property, and Linda would have lost any additional equity that she may have had from the sale. And remember, this all started because Linda was in emotional and financial distress. She desperately could have used the equity from the home that her and her husband had built together. On the other hand, if Bob is not successful, he hasn't lost anything except for a little bit of time. In fact, the vast majority of Bob's contracts don't close, but he already knew that. He just needs one to close to make a giant profit. But poor Linda, she's now worse off than she ever was before she met Bob. With all the time that was wasted, Linda is now further in financial distress, and many options that she may have had as of 90 days ago no longer exist. It's worth noting that the practice of wholesaling is not illegal. But that doesn't mean it's not unethical. Furthermore, states like Ohio and West Virginia are leading the charge in passing legislation that will prohibit this practice into the future. The main takeaway is this: real estate transactions tend to be the single largest financial transaction that people make in their lifetime. Contracts can be lengthy and confusing, especially if you've never seen them before. It's critically important to know what you're signing and how it will impact you, whether you're buying or selling. That's why consultation is always free. So if you think this video applies to you or anyone that you may know, give me a call to discuss, and I'll be happy to help. My name is Johnny Kazumka with Harvey Goodman Realtor, and I hope you have a great day.